What would you do if someone in your family thought it was funny to humiliate you in front of everyone? What if that person didn't just insult you, but actually punched you below the belt during a holiday gathering, leaving you humiliated and hurting? Most people would yell. Some would fight back on the spot. But me, I waited. I planned. And I found the one weakness that would make my revenge absolutely unforgettable. If you've ever dreamed of serving justice to someone who thought they could walk all over you, then you're in the right place. Hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up, because this is one of the most bizarre, petty, and satisfying revenge stories you'll hear today. It all started during a family holiday gathering. You know the type. The smell of roasted turkey filling the air, cousins running around in the background, people half watching the game on TV while others try to one-up each other with family gossip. Now, in every family, there's always that one relative. The one who's a little too loud, a little too proud, and who always has to make a scene. For me, that person was my father-in-law. Picture a man in his late 50s, big, broad shoulders, booming laugh, and a sense of humor that could best be described as middle school locker room. He wasn't evil or anything, but he was the kind of guy who thought practical jokes were the peak of comedy. The kind of man who couldn't resist taking a joke one step too far. And me. I was the quiet one. I kept to myself. I was the guy who usually bit his tongue to keep the peace. But that day, my father-in-law crossed a line so hard, there was no going back. Because out of nowhere, in front of the entire family, he walked up to me with a grin and delivered a full-on punch. Not to my arm. Not to my shoulder. But directly to the most vulnerable place a man has. Yes, that place. The room went silent, then erupted into awkward laughter. My face went pale, my knees buckled, and all I could do was force out a half-smile while every nerve in my body screamed. And my father-in-law? He just laughed, slapped his knee, and said something like, "Come on, toughen up. Just a joke." To everyone else, it was harmless fun. But inside me, humiliation burned hotter than the pain. I wanted to scream. I wanted to lash out. But instead, I just sat there, face red, silently swearing to myself, "You will pay for this." Now, my father-in-law may have been a tough guy on the outside, but he had one secret obsession. And it wasn't fishing, football, or beer. It was Pokémon. Yes, you heard that right. This grown man was obsessed with his Nintendo Switch. Specifically, shiny hunting in Pokémon. For anyone not familiar, a shiny Pokémon is a rare, alternate-colored version of a regular Pokémon. Some people spend hundreds of hours just trying to catch one. And my father-in-law? He was a fanatic. He'd brag at family dinners about his shiny collection like it was his retirement portfolio. He even carried his Switch to gatherings sometimes, just to show off his progress. That's when the idea hit me. If he wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone, I'd humiliate him where it hurt the most, inside his precious little digital Pokémon world. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. A few weeks later, during another visit, he was bragging about finally encountering a shiny Giratina. For non-gamers, just know, it's an incredibly rare, legendary Pokémon. To him, it was basically a holy grail. But there was one problem. His Pokemon had terrible stats. And he was frustrated. That's when I played the role of the helpful son-in-law. I casually mentioned that I had a spare shiny Giratina sitting around from trades. His eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. "No way. You'd trade that to me?" he asked. I shrugged like it was no big deal. "Sure. I mean, it's just a game, right?" Inside, though, I was smiling like the Joker, because what he didn't know was that I had doctored the file. The shiny Giratina looked perfect on the outside, but buried inside its code was a time bomb. A little corrupted data that would work just fine, until it didn't. We did the trade. He was ecstatic. He bragged to everyone for days about how his collection was now complete. And I waited. It happened about a week later. My phone buzzed with a call. It was him. The moment I picked up, I could hear the panic in his voice. "My Switch won't turn on. It just crashed while I was playing. All my Pokemon are gone." I bit my lip to keep from laughing. He ranted, raved, and nearly cried over the phone. Hundreds of hours vanished. His shiny collection, the pride and joy he never stopped bragging about, erased in an instant. And then came the best part. He asked me if I had any idea what happened. That's when I calmly said the line I had been waiting to deliver for weeks. "That's for punching me in the DCK." Asterisk. Silence. Pure silence on the other end. Then a stunned, awkward laugh. Then more silence. He never mentioned it again. Now here's the twist. I expected him to be furious with me. To yell. To maybe even throw me out of the house. But what actually happened was better. Because instead of being angry, my father-in-law respected it. He realized I'd played him at his own game. The prankster had been pranked. The joker had become the joke. And slowly, his attitude toward me shifted. He stopped picking on me so much. He stopped testing my patience at every gathering. In fact, sometimes I'd catch him smirking at me, like he knew we now had some kind of unspoken truce. Don't get me wrong, he still told bad jokes and pulled dumb stunts. But he never crossed that line with me again. Looking back, it's funny. My revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It was petty, precise, and perfectly tailored to hit where it hurt the most. And that's the beauty of it. Sometimes, justice doesn't come in the form of yelling or fighting. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge is letting someone taste their own medicine, served ice cold. So, to my father-in-law, thanks for teaching me that sometimes you really do have to fight fire with fire. And to anyone out there who's been humiliated, underestimated, or disrespected, remember this. You don't always need to hit back harder. You just need to hit back smarter. If this story gave you chills, or maybe even made you laugh, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest, most satisfying revenge you've ever pulled off? I'd love to hear your stories.